You know, it was Kirk Hammett and Joe Satriani. They both had such a tremendous impact on me as a young guitar player. Sometimes you get those melodies stuck in your head and you're like, I have got to translate this to guitar and I've got to record it too so I don't forget it. Well, I just did that. I had this really cool melody and I'm like, I have got to share this guitar solo with you guys, with my YouTube audience. And by the way, my Patreon supporters, you guys have the rhythm backing track to play along with, and you also have the complete tablature for that guitar solo that you just heard. We're gonna jump right into this, guys. I'm really excited for you to go through this lesson. Also, hang around till the end of the video. We're going to have our guitar chat. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the inspiration behind this style of guitar solo. So we're going to break the solo up into 3 different sections here. That'll make it a lot easier to learn. But before we do that, I think it's important to know, one, what key that we're playing in, which is the key of A minor. And it's also a good idea to know the chord progression, or at least be familiar with the progression that we're going to be playing the solo to. So let's go through this really quickly, okay? So we're going to learn the melodic piece first, and then I'll break up the technical parts into 2 other sections here. So this is the first part. I want you to remember one thing about guitar solos. This is not about just learning the notes and playing the notes. Hey, Jason played this fret, that fret, did a bend here, and that fret's next. This is about adding feeling and adding emotion to your guitar solos. That's what this little part is all about. So we start out on the B string, 17th fret here, okay? And we're gonna do a little bend, but I want you to listen to this bend. I'm gonna go 17th fret, do the bend, then I'm gonna land on the 15th fret, but just listen to the bend here. We're exaggerating little pieces of this. You don't have to play it, and this is very important. You don't have to play it exactly like I did. I want you to apply the concept. Think about when I'm doing these bends, maybe I can exaggerate some parts. It doesn't have to be perfectly synchronized with the rhythms. This is the beauty of playing guitar solos. It can be off just a little bit, purposely off, okay? That's what adds the flavor and just adds that emotion to the guitar solos. And then we land on, again, that 15th fret. We go from 17th fret, the bend, to the 15th fret. Then we're going to go 13, 15, 17, just like this. Okay, pretty simple there, but just keep in mind, all right, you're not just playing notes, okay? And not every note has to be exaggerated or overdone or whatever, but you're not just playing notes, you're adding feeling to that guitar solo as a whole, okay? So from there, we go to the G string, and we're gonna be playing frets 12, 14, and 16, but we're gonna play it like this. And all I'm doing here is when we go over to that 14th fret, again, G string, we're going to do a little hammer on pull off from 14 to 16 and back. And then I'm going to slide down to the 12th fret, and then before I go into the faster part of the solo, I'm going to do this cool little bend, right, going up a whole step. Now, I don't pick that note before I do that bend, right? You could go... But I kind of like to just leave that note hanging out there and then bend it like this. Real quick, whenever you guys see me putting my fingers down here, you'll see me switch from pick to something like that. It looks like a claw. What I'm doing, if I'm playing a note, I am going to take my thumb and first finger and I am going to mute the surrounding strings so I don't get string noise. That's just a little tip. All right, here's where we get into a little tap dancing. Oops, I mean finger tapping. And of course, this is very heavily Kirk Hammett inspired. Now, the way I like to look at these types of licks here, we're only playing 3 notes at a time, even though we're playing, the notes more times than that because we're finger tapping here. We've got finger tapping with some hammer-ons and pull-offs, which that's essentially what finger tapping is, right? But we're only playing 3 notes at a time, so that sort of simplifies things a little bit. 3 notes here, okay? 3 notes here, 3 notes here. 3 notes here. So I find when you break things down like that, right, instead of trying to look at, okay, well, this is the entire part I have to learn, when we break it down into pieces like that, it makes it a little bit more digestible. And now I'm hungry. That first tap, we are on frets 12, 15, and 17. That's it, okay? And I'm just doing just like this. Just watch. Now with this type of lick, sometimes I'll start out by pulling off with my finger, my tapping finger here. So I'll actually start on that 17th fret there. That just kind of helps me take off, if you will. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the B string, okay? Go to E string to B string. Exact same thing, frets 12, 15, and 17. Okay? Then we're going to keep our first finger, our tapping finger, on that 17th fret there, but our other hammer-on pull-off frets are going to be a little bit different. We're going to go up to 10 and 13. Now we're going to go over to the G string, and our frets that are going to be playing here are going to be 12, 14, and 16, okay? The last piece of this guitar solo, we're going to get into some faster alternate picking here, and then we'll have a little slide that we do at the end of that to end this part of the solo here. Now again, we're alternate picking these notes, of course, until we get to that little slide that we do at the end there. We're going to be playing across the D, G, and the B strings. And I'm starting out on that D string. We're going to be playing the frets 14, 15, and 17. Okay, then we're going to move over to the G string. We're going to play frets 14, 16, and then 17, okay? And then we're going to do a little sliding around here, so let me explain what I'm doing here. Listen to this part again. When I'm going from 14 to 16, normally I would put my pinky finger on the 17th fret to play that fret, right? Now that's okay, but I like to play it a little bit differently. What I do is I use that third finger, the ring finger, to slide from that 16th fret to the 17th fret so that I can start the next part of the solo with my first finger, which is going to be back on that 16th fret there. So just watch closely here. It just makes it a little bit easier to play that part since we're going to be playing more notes up on that string there. Hopefully that made sense. And then after that, we just end. And that's on the B string, frets 17 and 20. And then once we play the fret 20 there on the B string, we're going to slide that first finger up from 17 to 20. So it's just kind of a little cool little technique to throw in there. You know, it was Kirk Hammett and Joe Satriani. They both had such a tremendous impact on me as a young guitar player. I've got to take you back to about 1989. I know a lot of you know the story. You have my book, Heavy Metal and Weights. Shameless plug, my book is on Amazon. It's called Heavy Metal and Weights by Jason Stallworth. I've got a link in the description of this video if you guys haven't picked that up. But anyway, if we go back, rewind the time back to 1989. I did not mean to rhyme, and I just did it again. Okay, let's stop that. Anyway, 1989, December, I picked up my uncle's acoustic guitar. It had 4 rusty strings on it, and I just started picking out stuff. Like most guitar players, my first song, I believe, was Iron Man. You can pick that out pretty easy on 1 string. But prior to that, what inspired me to get into guitar playing was really just hearing Metallica. I'd been introduced to Metallica, not in person, although that would have been cool, by this really cool dude on the bus. I didn't know him at the time, but I'd asked him. He had this long hair, really cool looking guy playing air drums. I'm like, dude, what are you listening to? And he told me Metallica. So of course I went out and I purchased 2 cassettes, Master of Puppets and Justice for All, with my grass cutting money. So I picked up those cassettes and it was like magic. It was like, okay, this is what I want to do. But as you guys know, when you start playing guitar, you hear this music and you're like, I want to do this. Like, I want to do more than just listen. I want to play it. I want to write it. This is like my new thing now. And that's exactly what happened. Now, the day my dad got my first electric guitar, fast forward from 1989, about December 89, to probably January, February of 1990, he went with a local musician, a friend of his he went to high school with, Ronnie Miller. He actually still plays, I believe, live in Pensacola, all over town. So he went with my dad and myself and helped me pick out my first electric guitar and amp. And then he's like, Jason, I want you to hear this. He popped in this CD. I hear these little voices, then I hear the keys, and then I hear the drums and the bass, and then just this cool feedback. Of course, it's Flying in a Blue Dream by Joe Satriani. Guys, I cannot tell you how mesmerized I was at that time. It was like this passion that I had to play guitar, as if it could grow any stronger, it just like exploded. I'm like, oh my God. So from that time on, I really dug into Kirk Hammett's style of playing leads, and of course Joe Satriani. So this solo kind of reminded me of them. I had, had their influences really heavy, no pun intended, in my head as I was playing out this melody for you guys. And some of the things that we covered, a lot of things that we covered in the solo, sort of capture their style. At least I hope they do a little bit. And it's not that I was trying to write a solo like Joe Satriani or Kirk Hammett. And guys, I would never compare myself to those guitar players or any of the greats out there. That's not who I am. You guys know that, my longtime subscribers, my loyal subscribers. You guys already know that about me. But we do take in influences that we like, that are part of making up how we play and how we approach this really awesome instrument here. So I just wanted to share that with you real quick during our guitar chat here. So if you have any comments, guys, about your favorite guitar player or the guitar player that influenced you the most, or maybe it's more than one like myself. I could easily add Slash to that list, by the way, because I was really heavy into Guns N' Roses back then too. But drop a comment on this video here. Let me know which guitar player inspired you the most. And hey, if you don't mind, leave the year you started playing guitar. I'd love to see that as well. I know some of you have been playing, for decades like myself, and some of you may have just started 6 months, 2 years ago, whenever. But hey, leave me your guitar player that inspired you the most, that made you want to pick this thing up and start making music, and list the year you started playing. I'd love to see that. Guys, real quick before we go, if you don't have my metal guitar course called Metal Riff Master, there is a link for that in the description of this video. By the way, hang out in the description of this video. I've got some really cool stuff there for you. I mentioned my book, Heavy Metal and Weights, earlier. My guitar courses, my music, links to all that good stuff is in the description here. I am also, real quick, I'm also working on a lead guitar course, and I got a couple metal guitar courses out there that focus on rhythms. I am working on more so kind of like a melodic lead guitar style course. So if you have any ideas, things you would like to know, hey, leave those in the comments as well. You got a lot of stuff to leave me in the comments here, and you guys know I always read those. I love reading your comments, and even if I don't get to respond to all of them, I at least acknowledge them with a like or a love oftentimes, because I want you to know that I appreciate you guys and I do read through your comments. So guys, I hope this video helped you. As always, until the next time, keep it metal.